react to this video. I saw that and it's like interesting. Just wanna know.
It's designed for businesses and advertisers, not for you. Algorithms don't care about your feelings. They don't consider the psychology of your children. They know nothing of truth, of honesty, of body image, or propaganda. They serve no God, nor man. They seek only to foster engagement. Love is blind, and so is hate. And these algorithms know it. They're not echo.
He's wrong. There are echo chambers, but they were limited echo chambers. Like, you have to imagine, the more popular you get, the more room you have to expand. Just because you're popular. That's why big streamers, big YouTuber have such a reach, because we're popular, and the popular you are, the bigger their social media influences. That's why we're called influencers. Duh. So I think
chambers. They're engagement enclosures that prey upon our inner animals' limbic systems and cerebella. Social media is a monster that devours solidarity.
Yeah, I do agree to an extent. They do co-opt a lot of social movements, like Black Lives Matter was a movement, I think, that was co-opted by social media.
That kills community and pro-social behavior.
I don't agree that it kills communities. You can live perfectly fine in communities. In the internet. The problem is more how far away from the rest of society is that? Like, if these communities are particularly estranged from normal society. Other than that, if society doesn't view them like as strangers, they won't get touched normally.
In one part on purpose, and in another only as a side effect of their design and construction. Welcome back to The Quiet Part. This video is about sociology. It's about where people and algorithms and human behavior meet, and it's inspired by two other videos.
I hate this idea that people can be studied, like the brain can be studied, because I believe the human is special. Like, ever since psychology, the idea of psychology came up, people blatantly used it for evil deeds. I'm not saying it's an evil field. I'm just saying a lot of people profit from this, the suffering of others. And I believe every human is special in their own way.
I've seen here on YouTube. The first being from Kurskasai, one of the most prolific and hypothetically authoritative edutainment channels here on YouTube. They're known for their vibrant, if not corporate-coded educational videos covering a range of topics from physiology to existential philosophy. Around the same time I made this video about my anti-social media smartphone, Kurskasai published this.
On the digital town square, you encounter people that express opinions or share information that clash with your worldview. But unlike your neighbor, they don't root for your local sports club. You're missing the local social glue your brain needs to align with them.
Which felt all too timely and got me thinking. Though that was months ago, I needed more time to keep thinking.
Why should the internet provide you with the excuse to stay in your group. If your view patterns say you're not belonging to that group, like, then of course you're gonna meet people that are opposed to that if you internally think they're right. I think it's a bit more complex than that, but this is a conversation that's just starting now, because a lot of people don't realize how important social media is for social gathering nowadays. It can move nations.
More recently,
Just like
another
that.
high-ranking unofficial official of the education space, Hank Green, made this video with this title in thumbnail, from which I now cite obvious inspiration and imitation. In the meantime, I had been continuing work on different pro-social projects, talking about solar punk, better systems for education, and reasons to have a healthier work-life balance. I've been talking a lot about hope and optimism, but it's all literally online. Through this YouTube channel.
If there were no internet, you wouldn't be able to post what you wanna post. Like, you couldn't post the solar punk ideas, even dystopias in that form. They consume a lot of things through the internet. Like, people need the internet. A lot of the news comes from the internet. Without the internet, there would be basically media blackout, which can be seen as a good thing, depending on what you wanna do, how you look at it. I mean, we are over-socialized to an extent, and that makes us aware of the system's problems.
Channel, I've chosen to speak. It's social media, and I've spent so much time learning.
Like, no system in the world is perfect, and you notice that on social media, because on social media there are people who live in different systems, and you talk to them, or you can talk to them, but choose not to because you don't like that group or something.
In thinking about how this works, after all I've seen, there's one thing I've realized. There is a disconnect between communication online and in real life, which
There's not.
definitely isn't a monumental realization. It's downright intuitive. I mean, to me,
When people don't understand it, there's not a disconnect. It's intended. The idea of the internet was that you were anonymous on the World Wide Web. That was the idea, that you were anonymous. It's basically a giant library of knowledge. Not always good knowledge, but knowledge. So to say, it's not intended that way. It was always intended that way. The internet was always intended to be like a gathering place for like-minded people to a degree.
Personally, the biggest problem concerns people who talk like they aren't in public, the hiding behind the screen that we're all.
The hiding behind the screen is intention. Imagine if someone didn't hide behind the screen. If everything online was public. this would cause massive problems.
Also familiar with, but all this got me curious. I wanted to understand why things...
Why do people want the internet not to be anonymous? This is for the benefit of everyone if the internet is anonymous. Why do so many people think it's a good idea that you can be see-through? There will be always something in a person's history that isn't up to par to anyone. That's how society is made.
Things get like this, and the answer lies...
That's the only thing in the internet that's good. Like, has always been good. The anonymity.
As I said, in sociology, the study of human social behavior. Maybe another word is just social psychology. The big thing and piece of data I want to chew on in this video surrounds the idea of community size and anonymity. Here's a quick anecdote to set the stage, and I promise it's related. When I first began studying astronomy, my professor emphasized that we learn about the psychology of scale. Picture one person, and then another. Now 20, maybe a classroom, or 100, like a lecture hall. How many faces do you see? Can you remember and name and describe them all? Now 1,000.
I don't understand this part.
You're in a stadium for a concert. You can see each face, but the details are starting to fade. It's 100 times bigger than 100, and math has given you the ability to understand that. But can you understand them? Every face of 1,000. Every story.
Are you suggesting we are too many? Is this the problem? I mean, I agree that we are too many people on this planet to an extent. I just don't see it being a problem in the internet. The main problem is not scale, it's corporation trying to maximize profits. In the internet, when it was not the original intention of the internet. It wasn't to make profit. It wasn't a problem back then.
10,000 points of data that most people start to lose the ability to discern specific things. Or at least that is the loosely scientific data we were taught. I'll cite our textbook that described this here if I find it.
Yes, but it's not a problem.
While this story was originally told to communicate the idea that stars and cosmology is a discipline of immense and often inconceivable scale, I think it also says something about human psychology.
I think.
How many people can one person know? We are creatures...
About 20 close ones, and maybe on their phone contact like 100. Even though I know like 150 champions in league. I guess it's more now. Huh. Is it 150? I don't know.
Of both natural selection and chance. Social to our core, but to what scales? How often, through the nearly 3 million years our genus has been around, have we found ourselves in groups larger than what, 100? What's certain is that we are more connected and more anonymous in our communication now more than ever. But what...
That's a good thing. Like I said, if the internet was see-through, if everything on social media was see-through, people would lose their shit. Wars would start happening because of that. I'm glad that the internet is anonymous. It would be a bad thing if it was not.
What am I connecting this to? Well, I have this idea or maybe just a feeling for now.
Okay. Wait a moment.
That algorithms and anonymity in social media trick our brains in some notable ways. Here's how. First, a quick review of the business model of social media companies. The goal, like most things on the internet, is to serve you advertisements. Whether targeted or more general, social media companies make their money by selling your personal data through
This is the problem. I don't think it's the anonymity that is the problem. It's the fact that the internet was not intended to be a tool of corporations, of big corporations. It was never intended that way. It was intended to connect people. It was intended to share knowledge, even if it was bad. Now it's like, damn. The society really fucked up.
advertisers, and then a combination of both. The issue arises when, by virtue of their free market nature, a social media platform is only as valuable as its reach. Always more. More eyes, more clicks, more likes, more shares, more subscriptions, upvotes, comments, ratios, on and on. The social engineers behind TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube have figured out that what they need is engagement. Some might not have noticed, but I comment below my own videos a lot, and the reason for that is that it drives engagement. Like the greater capitalist culture from which social media companies are derived, the focus is on exploitation and extraction. You have to milk people's time for all they've got, keep squeezing even if there's no juice left to get. To quote YouTube directly, the algorithm follows the audience.
I disagree with the notion that it's an algorithm that's the problem. It's general corporate culture infecting the internet. We see a new thing and we immediately think, I can make money. This is the problem. I can make money. It's sad, really, I think.
And the audience is you and me. It's human beings. We're kind of unpredictable, but we're made from physiological hardware that humans have studied. We experience feelings of reward and pleasure and satisfaction, and these systems in our brains are understood through the lens of psychological behaviorism, the application of which is called conditioning. Social media algorithms are engineered to follow your own psychology for conditioning. They explicitly track how you feel toward the content you consume and use that to keep you engaged in a never-ending feedback loop. But that isn't actually where I think it all went wrong. All the alleged division and formation of echo chambers comes, in my mind, as a side effect of how these systems are designed. You see, there are people talking about the history of community size in social behavior. One particular article from Psychology Today posits that a reasonable community size hangs around 150 members.
Yes. How large are cities? So around 1,000 people, 10,000 people. Some cities are a million people. Like, of course there will be no cohesion. There will be subcultures, of course. When society began, it's like people used to be for a long time just with their family, extended family, and some outsiders. Now, basically, the majority of people are outsiders. And that's driving a lot of problems. Plus, you have different systems in place that also contribute to the fact that everyone's like basically put into the city, and plus the profits, plus the corporations. It's a lot of things. Like, humans were not made to be in big cities. We were made to live in small communities.
Members. This is called Dunbar's number. Similarly, psychologists have looked into class size for high schools, which of course I find relevant. They found that sociologically, it's around 150 members that a community is most sustainable and stable. The thing is, social media platforms and online communities are just not built to that target.
We were never built for that. We were built for, like I said, sharing knowledge, having niches, and being anonymous. Because maybe that knowledge you are looking at is illegal in some states. Think about it. Why would that be a factor, you may ask? It's because the government uses the same systems to get their knowledge. What they deem as illegal. That's not a shocker. Everyone does that. Now, the internet, of course, can be seen as a social place, but it's not a social place by definition. The reason why everyone is anonymous is because, like I said, panic would ensue. People would lose their shit. Made us like that. Just like that. It's like, would you really wanna expose millions of people suddenly? No, that's not a good idea, I think. It's really just this one small problem, that corporations maximize their profits and use the internet to basically as their cash cow.
App is too big and communities too small. I mean, how often are you watching a YouTube channel with less than 150 subscribers? Shout out to the founding members.
I'm happy with that.
Of the Quiet Party. If you were here before 150, let me know down.
I'm also happy if like someone joins. It's not a problem. I think people are making it a problem. It's not. Just chill. Just do it for fun. Don't think about views. Don't think about engagement.
Down in the comments. But the thing is, forums, discords, subreddits, community tabs, whatever else, these things can't thrive if they don't grow, so they expand beyond the scales that our own systems of neurology are accustomed to. Companies can't make a profit on so few people. They serve you what you like, what you will engage with. They get a stranglehold on your dopamine and normalize online anonymity, which is something I want to address less formally. Listen.
Why should anonymity be a bad thing in the internet? Why is that a bad thing? I don't get the point. I don't know.
My beef with anonymity is not in principle, only practice. I think it is hugely important that people have anonymous ways to speak truth to power. Not to mention the fact that I think personal privacy is essentially a human right, something people deserve.
Okay. thanks that you clarified that now, after almost the end.
And should have access to. I tie anonymity to all of this because of the underlying psychology behind community size. It's individuation, the ability for a person to know someone as a single entity, with one story, one face, and one name. Knowing people and their stories is the social glue that binds us together. When we forget the other, that is when we lose. Lose ourselves, lose one another, lose all sense and sensibilities we need to navigate the dark void that is online social space. All this to say that we need to practice humility. We need to find Sonder, that realization that, miraculously and against all common sense, each letter of every word you read on a screen is a person. A human being with an entire life story and pantheon of core memories. You've never seen this person's face. You have no clue what they know. They could be a doctor or astrophysicist or one of the large portion of Americans that read below a 6th grade level.
I'm not even American. So, like that.
You lose sight of the fact that a real 3-dimensional person can say things suck and everything is awesome back to back and still be a real person. You don't see the longitude, the time, the progression of a person with a life plot. You cry hypocrisy because their opinion changes or contradicts without you realizing that you too have said many things that are themselves contradictions out of context. That is the effect of...
I mean, of course, there's always a contradiction with any opinion. That's why you have debates, to reach a optimal solution. And I see that as there's no real debate to optimal solutions for anyone right now. I don't know. I think I like this video, but there's something like I don't like this idea that it's because people don't know each other. I don't know if that's really the problem.
Of social media, the way it isolates one person in one moment of time without context or consideration. That is the kind of thing.
Social media doesn't isolate you. Yes, it can further the problem to isolating you, but it's more like maybe your community isolates you. Social media just enhances that problem because they're also just humans.
Thing we have to carefully claw our way back to before anything else becomes normalized out of existence. It will be so unbelievably hard to organize and make real social change if we don't deal with this problem first. And so
there will be no social change if the people who make value do not strike. This is, and by value I mean the people who make the money for whoever owns the business. You will never achieve change if you do not do it yourself. Preach. Do what you preach. Yeah, I think that's a good
in
message.
spite of this channel's name, I call you now to be loud in your support of pro-social behavior. Be loud in your consideration and humility.
Pro-social.
Be proud of your
think.
kindness and seek to understand others. Stay vigilant against the machinations of these unfeeling things. Feel for others just as much as you think and
I like that. I really like that message. I just didn't like the idea that it was like